Alright, fantastic hip hop done came back with another one. Let's see what he talking about this time.
Now, as the new freestyle Drake released is reaching more people's ears both in the hip hop world and beyond, one thing that has become clear is that with the more attention this song has garnered, and the more people who are hearing Drake's most introspective lyrical performance since going back and forth with Kendrick Lamar during the height of their beef in 2024, beyond the optics and really just flat out deception of Drake rapping over a beat that would make people who are not fully paying attention to what he is saying think that he is starting to make some sort of a comeback in the rap world. In actuality, as now people have had time to process this record, and from the best rappers in the world to some of the biggest names in the NBA, seeing just how many people Drake was trying to intimidate here, all together with how he tried to convince his rivals that he wasn't the one who lost in this thing, and that also at the end of this all, when the truth comes out, he will be the one who is on top. Overall, while Drake coming back into lyrical consciousness has given us a song that we are at least talking about more than anything else he has released in months, at the same time, delivering a performance like this has allowed Drake's inner thoughts to come out more than we have seen in about a year at this point, and really with the results of this, Drake has just never exposed himself more when it comes to proving on his own account that beyond being one of the most pathetic figures in music today at this point, that he is really one of the biggest jokes of a figure that hip-hop has ever seen. But
He sounded sad to the motherfucker on that goddamn Irish fucking fighting Irish, whatever the hell you call that shit.
now, before we go into just how bad the effects of this track are going to end up affecting Drake in the long run, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And so now with Drake and this track, when it comes to what this new freestyle that's not actually a freestyle because you can clearly see him reading off a piece of paper in the video the song was released with,
Yep.
despite what Drake defenders are trying to say to make any part about this record look like it was a win for him and that he didn't even intend for it to be released. This song releasing directly from producer Conductor Williams definitely was intentional on Drake's end, as putting the song out this way allowed for him to get this new message out without having to go through his own label, who he is of course in a whole other mess with. And on top of that, as this song came straight from one of the most desired to work with producers in all of rap music right now, who has also produced multiple major songs for Drake, including the one that was at the center of his last album rollout with none other than 8am in Charlotte. It's pretty obvious to see that the producer who has given out beats to now 3 rappers that have dissed Kendrick Lamar with Drake, Joey, and J. Cole put this song out with Drake's approval. And seemingly with the release of this freestyle, which Drake assumed that because it was coming from a skilled beatmaker who has a lot of respect in the genre, it would give him a much needed win with just that alone.
Nope. Nothing gonna help him. I want to see if he could bounce back though. Because Drake did make some good ass music, but I want to see if he can bounce back.
And really what the lesson that Drake needs to learn from this record, if anything else, is that he needs to stop underestimating the intelligence of the audience.
Yep.
Because really when you unpack this thing, it becomes clear that Drake thought he was going to cakewalk his way back into the center of the culture and drop off a mediocre freestyle over a beat that usually underground MCs like to rap over, and that would be enough.
Can't tootsie slide your way out of this one, Drake. And I ain't even a Kendrick stan. I love his music, but I ain't no fucking stan.
But just like other rappers who exploited how low the bar was for quality in the Drake era are now learning, more listeners than ever are fully awake and aware of the content they are digesting, and no longer can these half-baked songs and performances impress majority of the rap world like they once did. And now when it comes to what is at the center of the song beyond all of the optics that Drake was trying to trick us with in the first place, is unfortunately for Drake, one of the most stubborn and really embarrassing lyrical performances we have ever seen from someone coming off a beef this important, because the more I and so many others continue to read into all of the lyrics Drake is saying here, it just falls apart. And with how bad this song is, it really feels like from Drake we are getting the Heart Part 6 Part 2. Because instead of this
Wait, what Justin Hunt said? The songs sound good until you start listening to what he's saying.
track doing anything
Shout out to the company, man.
to help Drake's image whatsoever. One of the most basic and what is becoming one of the most redundant rhyming patterns possible from someone who actually calls themselves an MC. Drake does such things here like flexing the fact that he is suing an entire record label over the success of a diss song in Not Like Us, and that if it goes in his favor, then Kendrick Lamar and the success he's had and the entire perception of his victory will then be changed. Which now, before we dive into any other part of this track that is getting criticism right now, the fact that Drake really decided to rap about this as a flex is even more anti-hip-hop than him going about the action in the first place. Because while to make these claims is one horrible thing, But then to rap about this within a way like this is a typical thing that rappers say to try and up their competition is a whole other thing. Because seriously, just this whole moment of Drake rapping over a Conductor Williams beat where he is flexing about taking a rap beef to court, I mean, just saying that out loud makes it sound like it's not even a real thing. It is really that disrespectful to hip-hop culture as a whole. Saying that out loud doesn't even sound real because it is that disrespectful to hip-hop culture as a whole because it's really just laughing in the face of everything that this art form has ever represented. And I mean, beyond just this, Drake's descent into chaotic delusion does not stop here because making this
Drake's descent into chaotic delusion. I like that.
Even bigger than Drake versus Kendrick Lamar or other rappers for that matter. He of course spends a lot of time on this track reflecting about the pop out and the people who were once his friends that went there, and specifically from this, Drake focuses on calling out both DeMar DeRozan but in the greater magnitude LeBron James. As from the title of this track, which is mirroring the school LeBron played at, to lyrics in this track which Drake seemingly designed to create all of his stands on social media to run around and say that Drake is going to expose LeBron James and all of the truth that we don't know about him to the public because LeBron chose Kendrick over him. And now with the biggest thing Drake has achieved with this track being that he has rallied his fan base into all thinking that he is going to expose LeBron.
Sorry about that, my phone rang. Here we go.
With the biggest thing Drake has achieved with this track being that he has rallied his fan base into all thinking that he is going to expose LeBron James's hidden past. I mean, again, when you say these things out loud, it's not just laughable that this is where we are at, but again, Drake is so desperate to make any sort of moment in these songs that he's leaving lyrics that will then bait his fans to try and start these mass movements where they want to take people like LeBron down. And what's most funny about this all is that when it comes to Drake's entire ethos as a rapper, it is falling apart more than ever because of things like these. Because while Drake is dissing LeBron and trying to code this entire track to be some sort of a warning to him, no matter how much Drake tries to make LeBron look terrible, is he forgetting that he's also the guy who has the tattoo of LeBron on his arm? Which, funny enough, tying the title back...
Not only does he have a LeBron tat, but he got Lil Wayne tatted on him too. And both of them motherfuckers alive. That dude is fucking weird. He is fucking weird.
Back to LeBron even more, it is the artwork of when LeBron was in school with the jersey that this song is seemingly titled after. So again, when we break this down and see why so many people are losing respect for Drake even more than they already have, as his biggest move is now trying to bait us into thinking a guy who he has a tattoo of on his arm is bad. Again, while Drake thinks he's making power plays, he is just making himself look weak and guilty, because how can you diss a guy the way he is if you literally permanently placed an image of him on your arm? I mean,
look how he laying on him like that's his daddy or some shit.
It's just all so pathetic. And for the people who are defending Drake and saying that anything he does from this point forward is just gonna get criticized no matter what he does, that's just not true, because Drake could have really tried to write something about how it really feels to not just lose, but to also lose people who he thought were his friends. And if this performance was genuine and emotional, people would have resonated with it because it would feel relatable, but again, with the arrogance and delusion that Drake keeps living in here. For the people who have not continued to support him as his music has declined year over year and he has just gotten more immature in the process, this song is just impossible to connect with because he's telling us about stories and moments that he is trying to put in one way, but the reality we have all seen from our own eyes just a few months ago is completely different. And I really feel like what Drake was trying to do here was make his Blueprint 2-like moment, which is what Jay-Z did after he lost the Nas beef, with a self-titled track from his album of the same name where Jay addressed the beef after having the biggest stain on his career from Nas handing him an L. But now the difference is between Drake and Jay is that while both of them lost, even in the Blueprint 2 song, Jay managed to somehow turn his L into an ego boost that pushed him into the next era of his career, and with Jay never backing away from what made him successful in the first place after he lost, it only pushed him to make more hit songs and drop more music that still reached the status quo of what people wanted to see from him. And meanwhile with Drake, from running away from everything he has ever stood for, to staying in this world of delusion where now this hole he has put himself into is so deep that he is now just responding to disses from songs Kendrick released months and months ago, and somehow with his responses being so bad that now he's only validating Kendrick's claims further and further. Overall, Drake has really just never made himself look like a bigger joke than with this song, and if this is the moment that is starting off his 2025, and really now the bar for him is releasing songs that are the equivalent to The Heart Part 6 even all of these months after the shock and chaos that Kendrick Lamar caused, as now from Kendrick Lamar to the West Coast to now people like LeBron are all left laughing at Drake for just clapping back to them in some of the strangest, most delusional, and really just anti-hip-hop ways possible. Well, really, everything for Drake is just looking terrible, and somehow, when it seemed like things couldn't get worse as he closed out 2024 doing everything that just signaled against hip hop as a whole in its very principle, the worst part about this all is that Drake is now running back into the center of the genre with the same principles that he had on his stream with Aiden Ross, or when he decided to shock everyone by taking a rap beef to a place that no one ever has. And because of all of this, what is clear is that things are only going to get a lot stranger this year from Drake, because if this is how he's trying to enter a new year where he did just say it was going to be a new season for him and therefore give him a chance to take the top spot in the rap game once again, if this was the best idea he had to start off this new era, I don't even think we want to know how bad whatever else he has planned may be. And so now, with all of this said, let me know, how do you feel about this new song from Drake, and beyond it as a piece of music, the message and type of thought process Drake is showing that he is only going to be leaning further and further into within this new year? Now, I can't wait to hear what you have to say, and if you made it to this point in the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton. And now, if you want to see my lyric by lyric breakdown of this Drake song and see why, from the perspective of what he was saying even further, why it's one of the messiest songs we have ever seen from a rapper at this point when the stakes are this high, check out the suggested video.
Yeah, I don't see Drake bouncing back. Well, he probably could, but it's gonna take a while. What's going on with this fucking thing?